Okay, so I like ghost tricks, and I'm doing a ghost trick deck profile. Is it the best ghost trick deck? No. Is it fun? Yes. So this is more for casual duels. I would not really try playing this on the ladder. I did mess around with this a bit in Diamond, and some of the interactions were funny, but this is more of a casual deck. So first off, we have Ghost Trick Lantern. So Ghost Trick Lantern and all the Ghost Tricks have this cannot be normal summoned unless you control a Ghost Trick monster effect. And they also all have the once per turn you can change this card to face down defense position effect. So when I go over the Ghost Trick monsters, the only effect I'm going to read is typically their third effect that does things. Um, so just keep in mind that all of them have the cannot be normal summoned unless you control a Ghost Trick monster effect. And once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position effect. So Lantern is when your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, or when a Ghost Trick monster you control is targeted for an attack. You can negate the attack, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand and face down defense. Next, we have Ghost Trick Spectre, and you're running 3 of him because Spectre is a decent draw card, and he also is a body that's on the board. So when a Ghost Trick monster is destroyed by an opponent's card effect or by battle with an attacking monster and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand and face down defense. And if you do draw 1 card, you can Spectre off Spectre. So if you have a Spectre in your hand and they destroy a Spectre, you can activate Spectre and then draw a card and set Spectre. So Spectre, pretty good. Doesn't work against like removal that spins it back to deck or removes it from play or banishes it, but as a body on the board, it's pretty decent. Next we have Jack Frost. So Jack Frost is a hand trap. It's actually a pretty decent hand trap. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can change that opponent's monster to face down defense position, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand in face down defense position. So this is good because it doesn't target and it puts something face down. It's not very good because it doesn't do link monsters, but for everything else, it is a very, very decent answer. Next, we have Ghost Trick Mary. I'm only running 2 Marys and 1 Frost because I think 3 Marys is overkill and it can be bricky. So Mary's a hand trap that when you would take damage, you can discard this card, special summon a Ghost Trick monster from your deck and face down defense position. You can only use the effect of Ghost Trick Mary once per turn. That once per turn, the hard once per turn effect is why I only run 2. Running 3 I felt was way too bricky. But being able to get any Ghost Trick out from your deck is pretty decent. A lot of the time you will go for Ghoul or Janashki, and I'll get into why in a moment, because we're running a couple fun tech cards in this deck. So next we have Maxi. Maxi is an insect, so it doesn't really fit in with the zombie and fiend motif we're doing, but it is a really good hand trap. In case you live under a rock and you don't know what Maxi does, during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. This turn, each time your opponent special summons, you get to draw a card. You can only use 1 Maxi per turn. I know Flunder is a deck that's like popular in the meta, but with Branded running around, this is just free. Like if they Branded Fusion for Lubellion, you're gonna get a card off the Branded Fusion, and you're gonna get a card off the Lubellion. To special summon the Mirror Jade. Outing Mirror Jade with this, not fun, but possible. Next we have Ghost Trick Witch. Once per turn you can change to face down defense position, but the effect we care about is once per turn you can target a face up monster your opponent controls and change it to face down defense. The reason that I like this and a lot of the other Ghost Trick effects that change things to defense is it makes things easier to out, easier to run over, and you can destroy face down defense position cards. Basically any set card you can destroy front row or back row as long as it's set with Alucard. And we also have the 1 Nobleman of Crossout. Being able to just say, oh, your monster's face down now, and then being able to get rid of it is really useful. Speaking of really useful putting monsters face down, we have Ghost Trick Neko Mimusume. So It can't be normal summon unless you control a Ghost Trick monster. So that does make it a little bit harder to run, but when you do get it out, it's really worth it. Once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position, yada yada yada. When a level 4 or higher monster is normal or special summoned, change that monster to face down defense position. There must be another Ghost Trick monster on the field to activate and resolve this effect. So you do need to face up Ghost Trick monsters for that. But being able to just say, oh, whatever you summon is going to be face down, amazing effect. It stinks a little bit because of the limit, but amazing effect. So Ghost Trick Doll, once per turn, that's not the one we care about. So when this card is flipped face up during the end phase, change as many face-up monsters on the field as possible. This includes your opponents to face down defense position. Then special summon one Ghost Trick monster from your deck and face down defense, whose level is less than or equal to the monsters flipped face down by this effect. The special summon is good, but the really important thing is it's essentially a Book of Eclipse, like it books the entire board, and it doesn't target. So, very good effect. Next we have Jingashi. So, the effect that you care about on this one is when it's flipped face up, you can add from your deck to your hand a Ghost Trick monster whose level is less than or equal to the number of Ghost Trick monsters you control, even if it is the only one. Even if it is the only one, you can still get Mary or Frost because they're level 1s. Or Spectre. Spectre's also level 1. Lantern's a level 1. Mew Mew's a level 2. Doll's a level 2. So you have a lot of low-level options. So that's what makes the effect okay. I've been thinking about cutting this, but I do need it because it's a zombie. Next we have Ghost Trick Ghoul. So Ghoul essentially is during your main phase 1, you can target a Ghost Trick monster. It gets attack equal to all the original attack of all the Ghost Trick monsters on your field, currently on your field, until the end of your opponent's next turn. But if it does, it's the only monster that can attack this turn. So you're locked into attacking with one thing, but you have a really big one thing. This is good because sometimes you need to out things that are huge, and this card really helps with that. You do need some of the bigger Ghost Tricks on the field for that, but if you have just Witch, that one, and Siren, that right there is going to be 3,100. So any more than that, and you're pretty much golden to run over things. Next, we have 2 Ash. Ash is also a zombie, so it works with our Ghost Fusion. And then we have 1 Ghost Wyvern in the Underworld. So it's normal or special summoned. You can add a Ghost Fusion from your deck to your hand. During the end phase, this card is banished and would banish this turn. You can take 1 level 2 or lower zombie tuner from your deck, add it to your hand, or send it to the grave. You can only use each effective Ghost Wyvern Underworld Dragon once per turn. Next, we have 2 Ghost Trick Siren. Siren is if it's normal summon or flip face up, send the top 2 cards of your deck to your graveyard. If either was a Ghost Trick card, apply these effects. So 1, first effect, you get to add a Ghost Trick spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Second effect that you can pick from is change an effect monster your opponent controls to face down the fence. I think like 90% of the time you're going to do the add a Ghost Trick spell or trap. Next we have 2 Lord of Heavenly Prison. This card's good in this deck. It protects our back row, and we really need to protect the Drowning Mirror Force, so this is just a decent card to run. During the main phase, you can activate this effect. You reveal it in your hand. It becomes revealed until the end of your opponent's turn. While it's revealed by this effect, set cards cannot be destroyed by card effects. If the set spell or trap is activated, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, if you activated this card effect while this card was revealed, you can set 1 spell or trap directly from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. You can only use 1 Lord of the Heavenly Prison effect per turn, only once per turn. This card is great. Being able to have 3,000, being able to set a trap directly from our deck, this card is great. A spell or trap, so you could Excuse me. I woke up early because the ban list dropped, and I was like, oh, amazing. And just like that, I dated the video. But the fact that you can set terraforming to get access to your parade or whatever else is just really great. So all around, Lord of Heavenly Prison's a good card. It's such a good card that I'm actually thinking about cutting one of the Ghost Fusions and adding another Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Next we have Nobleman of Crossout. You're booking a lot of, I say booking, I mean flipping a lot of stuff face down. I always think of Book of Moon. So you have that Book of Moon effect on a lot of the Ghostricks where you flip things face down. If you're flipping things face down, you might as well have Nobleman as generic removal. Plus, if your opponent sets anyway, Nobleman can be one of those cards that come out of left field and ruins their day. Next, we have the 1 Terraforming. The 3 Allure of Darkness. Pretty much everything's dark. Ash Blossom and Max C are like the only things you could really brick with Allure, but Allure is an amazing card. Next, we have 2 Ghost Fusion. If you're worried about running 42 cards or you want more consistency, you should cut this to 1 Ghost Fusion so your deck looks like this. I had 2 because I'm mainly playing this deck for fun, and this card's a lot of fun. Special summon 1 Fusion monster from your extra deck using only zombie monsters you control as material. If your life points are lower than your opponent, you can also banish 1 zombie monster from your deck, graveyard, or hand as material. You can only activate 1 Ghost Fusion per turn. So this card is awesome. Next, we have Ghostrick Shot. Special summon a Ghostrick monster from your hand or graveyard. Change one face down Ghostrick monster you control to face up attack position. So you get a Monster Reborn effect, and you get a effect to flip a Ghostrick trick up, and you can banish it from your graveyard. Target a Ghostrick XYZ you control. Attach a Ghostrick card from your graveyard to that monster's material. You can only use each effect of Ghostrick Shot once per turn, so you can use all 3 of them in the same turn. This is a fantastic card. Next, we have Ghostrick Mansion. Monsters cannot attack face down defense position monsters, but can attack directly if all monsters their opponent controls are face down defense. All effect damage and battle damage inflicted by monsters other than Ghostricks are halved. So the reason why this card is good is you take less damage, and you can also have your opponent attack you directly and activate Drowning, but have a bunch of face down monsters on the field. So you can activate Drowning while you have monsters, which is amazing. The other reason why this is good is if your opponent has all their monsters face down, like you forced all of their monsters face down with your Ghostricks, you can attack them directly. Also, all their monsters are only going to deal half damage, so if they're going to try to OTK you, they got to put out 16,000 if this card stays on the board. Next, we have Ghostrick Parade. Monsters cannot attack face down defense position monsters, but can attack directly if all monsters their opponent controls are face down defense position. Your opponent takes no damage when an opponent's monster declares their direct attack. So, yeah. You probably don't want to keep this out when you're trying to attack your opponent. You can add 1 Ghostrick monster. Sorry, your opponent takes no damage. But when your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can add 1 Ghostrick card from your deck to your hand. Ghostrick Scare. Target any number of face down defense position monsters you control. Change them to face up. Count the number of Ghostrick monsters among them. If you do, change that many monsters your opponent controls to face down defense position, minimum 1. So I see a lot of people running 3 scares. Once again, if you want more consistency, you can just run 2. I personally like 3. I think that even though it bricks sometimes, 3 is the way to go because the effect is really powerful and can disrupt your opponent's board. Next, we have Drowning Mirror Force. We're running 3 Drowning Mirror Force. Being able to have cards in the front row on the board while playing this card is amazing. When your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, shuffle all your opponent's attack position monsters into the deck. So this can wipe your opponent's board pretty easily. And on top of that, you can activate it when you have monsters on the field when you're playing Ghostricks, because you have the Ghostrick field spells that let them attack you directly. And then we have 2 Infinite Impermanence. and 1 Ghostrick Knight. This card doesn't always resolve, but when it does, it's awesome. While a Ghostrick monster is on the field, your opponent cannot flip summon, so if you book their stuff, you can essentially just lock their board out. If this card in your possession is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to your graveyard, your opponent cannot declare attacks for the rest of the turn, so even if they out it, you're still safe for a turn. And that brings us to the extra deck. So we have 2 Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragons. So monsters can't be destroyed by a battle with it, but at the end of the damage step, if it battles a monster, and that monster at an original level, so this won't work on rank monsters, XYZ monsters, which are rank monsters because they have ranks, not levels. And it won't work on link monsters because they have link count and not levels. So if it battles a monster that had an original level, its attack becomes 0. If that monster is still face up on the field, which it will be because they can't be destroyed by a battle, you can special summon 1 Dark Soul token. In the level and attack become equal to the original attack of that monster. You can only use 1 Dragon Necro Soul effect per turn. Sorry, you can only control 1 Dragon Necro Soul. You can use this effect more than once per turn if you really wanted. But the reason why that effect is good is because if you make something 0 attack, even the wimpiest Ghostricks can beat over it. You can get rid of just big stuff on the field and do damage to your opponent. And then next we have Ghostrick Duelahan. So it gains 200 attack for every Ghostrick card you control, which is awesome. Once per turn, you can detach material, target a face-up monster on the field, have its attack until the end of the turn. If it's sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 other Ghostrick monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Alucard also has that effect, so you can recycle Alucard and Duelahan with each other if you want to. Next we have Ghostrick So Cute Boss, which is 2 level 2 monsters. While you control another Ghostrick monster, your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for attack. Once per turn, you can detach a material, target 1 monster in the field with less attack than or equal to the combined attack of all Ghostrick monsters on the field. Destroy it, and if you do, that monster card zone can no longer be used as long as you have a Ghostrick monster. So, destroying a card and locking your opponent out of a monster zone, pretty good effect. Being able to make that card, it is a 2. So as you can see, we only have a couple of 2s in here, so that's kind of difficult, but it was definitely worth running because that's a very good effect. Next we have Ghostrick Alucard. So Alucard is rank 3, which is pretty easy to make because we have a lot of 3s. Janishki being our primary 3 and Ghoul being our secondary 3. But both these cards are pretty easy to get. Alucard is monsters your opponent controls cannot target face-up Ghostrick monsters or any face-down defense position monsters for attack. So that effect right there is already good. And then you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, target a set card your opponent controls, which means it can also be a set monster, not just back row. You can only use the effect of Alucard once per turn. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target another Ghostrick card in your graveyard, add that to your hand. So it recycles just like Duelahan does, which is good. Next we have Ghostrick Angel of Mischief. So you can also XYZ summon it by using Ghostrick monster you control's material, except Mischief, which is pretty good because then it gets more materials. When the number of materials on Mischief becomes 10, you win the duel. That's it. You win. Once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, add a Ghostrick Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, you can attach a Ghostrick card from your hand to this as material. So if you actually manage to resolve that, then you are the boss. What I like to do is Duelahan and then overlay over it, because then it'll have 3 materials right off the bat. And 1 from your hand makes 4. You're still probably not going to get to 10 very easily. Shot would make 5, but if you actually want to go for it, then you can go for it. If not, it has a decent search effect. Next we have 1 Zeus, because board wipes are good. And then next we have 2 Ghostrick Festival. This is an amazing card. It just came out. It's why I'm making the deck profile pretty much. It really makes the deck work much better than it did before. 1 non-link Ghostrick monster, or you can also use a face-down Ghostrick monster. While a Ghostrick card is in the field zone, your Ghostrick monsters can attack directly, which is awesome. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you contribute this card, special summon any Ghostrick from your deck on face-down defense. You can only use this effect of Festival once per turn, so you get to basically combo with your field spells, and you also get the ability to search, and you also get the ability to attack directly. So pretty good for a Link 1. Stinks at a 0 attack, but at least it can get rid of itself to get something from the deck. Next we have 1 Nightmare Cerberus, and then we have 1 the Dark Charmer Gloomy, which is 2 monsters including a dark monster. It's always treated as a familiar possessed card. So you can target a dark monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to a link zone this card points to. If this link summon card is destroyed by battle or in a card effect while in the owner's monster zone, you can add 1 dark monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand, which can pretty much search everything. You can only use each effect of the Dark Charmer Gloomy once per turn. Then we have 1 Vampire Fascinator. We're running this card because it's just really decent, and you have the zombie targets for it. You have these 3 zombies. So if it's link summoned, you can target a card in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field defense position. If they had a Mirror Jade that was properly summoned, I like to special summon the Mirror Jade, then use its effect to banish something. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except zombie monsters. That kind of hurts, but it's not the worst thing. You contribute 1 vampire monster, target a monster your opponent controls, and take control of it until the end phase. You can only use each effect of Vampire Fascinator once per turn. Most of the time, in fact all the time, because you don't have other vampires, you're going to tribute Fascinator and take control of something your opponent controls, but every time I've done that, it's been for game, so I'm not too worried about keeping Fascinator out anyway. And then we have the 1 Apollosa Bow of the Goddess. I'm not going to share replays for this deck, just because I already explained most of the combos above, and because, like I said, this deck's a more casual deck, and a lot of the stuff I played against was stuff that you're really not going to see on the ladder. But that's it for Ghostricks. If you want to see another Ghostrick deck profile when I kind of evolve this deck more, let me know. And like, comment, subscribe if you really like the content. And if you don't, give me a dislike, because that helps me know what not to do. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.